Good. Okay. Coach, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm not judging. Numbers are fewer today. So I see who the real ones are. I can look around the room and I'll remember this. Make sure. Laboring on Labor Day. Good. Certainly excited that we're 1-0. Also look at we're so far from where I think a finished product will be. Guys understand that. And I think in coaching and teaching, you look at teachable moments and able to learn from your experiences. We left a lot on the field in all three phases. So it's nice to be in a position that you win a game, but also we know that we can and will be a heck of a lot better week 2, and excited about that, what the process of that looks like. How good can we get this team from the time the game was over Saturday afternoon till this next Saturday at 7:30. So again, I want to give a lot of thanks to the crowd, and the student section was off the charts. I thought it was really a great. They created energy in the stadium. The students and Ross-Ade Brigade was awesome. The band was tremendous. It felt like college football, and it's exciting, and I know our guys sure appreciated it. Got a big challenge ahead of this week. We're talking about the opponent. I think Coach Hill is going into year 10, I believe, and got a lot of respect for him. Was a really good player, and then he's been a really good coach. And watching their film from the other night, they play really tough. They've got good players. They're coached really well. We're going to have to make sure in all three phases that we're ready to go play our A game. Because I know they will be, and so we're excited about how we're going to build that this week with the plan and the playbook of the week, so to speak, in all three areas, and then at 7:30 we'll tee it up, and every game's its own story within itself. So excited for the opportunity to lead this group into week 2 and see the improvements on how we can make them.
Barry, after the game, you were pretty immediately and specifically critical of the tackling in that performance. Just as you look back on it and scrutinize it further with the film, what stood out? How do you fix that going forward when I assume you're not ramping up the tackling necessarily in practice?
Yeah, I think you look, we tackled well early. We hit a lull a little bit in the second quarter, and I think some of it, fundamentally, we've got to take another step or two. We've got to take, close down the space between when we're lunging for tackles, running our feet. So there's some things fundamentally that I think we can do better in that regard. It's also swarming the ball. I thought we did. There were points of the game that we played really hard and did a great job of pursuit of the football. And there's other times we missed tackles. So, I was a little quick to judge on some of that, I think, but also know that we've got to be a great tackling team as the season continues to go on, and there's ways you do that fundamentally, obviously schematically, and then getting hats to the ball and trying to populate the ball as much as you can. So certainly that is one area of our game that we know we've got to get better, and we will. And our guys did some tackling today in practice, individual drills. So that was good to see, and I think we've got an opportunity to be a really solid tackling football team.
What was your assessment of the offensive line play and specifically what that meant for the rushing game?
Yeah, I thought good at times, not near consistent enough on what we need to be. And some of that was what we were trying to establish in the throw game, and then other times, what they were giving us. But I would like for both sides of the ball in the line of scrimmage to play more consistent, and we will. We've got the people to do it, and the understanding schematically of what we're trying to do, though, we'll get where we need to be.
Going off of that, Josh said that a couple weeks into camp, Braden Joyner wasn't a guy being considered for that center role. Ultimately ends up the guy that gives you the best 5 out there, being the starting center in game 1. What has he done to elevate himself? And it was almost noticeable when he came out of the game there at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I think rep count, during fall camp, he missed a little bit of time. So just getting him back into the flow of that position's really hard, and the way we're doing things from a communications standpoint, there's a lot on that position. And I think this continuity with he and Ethan and Jalen in the interior 3 I think the more and more they're together there, that's going to help. But we also know that you're a play away from not having that. So the rotation on what it needs to be, whatever 5 we put it out there, we've got to be able to go execute at a high level.
What challenges does Southern Illinois present that maybe you need to see after playing a game and winning 31-0?
Yeah, I think they pulled their starters so early the other night because they got up on their first opponent. But I'm really impressed with their quarterback and his play. He's got makes throws and runs well and elusive in breaking tackles, and looks to me like he's got really good speed. I think they're, a couple of running backs they played the other night are big and powerful in the way they finish runs. Defensively, very, very impressed with their front 7. I mean, they're attacking downhill. They're playing on their other side of the line of scrimmage. And then secondary, they played about whatever they wanted to the other night and had success. So they've got talent. And again, I think they're very well coached, and we need to have a great week of preparation.
Just kind of looking to throw the ball down the field in the second half, playing with a big lead. How much of that was about using that opportunity to develop that phase of the game in a live game?
Yeah, I think really, and I'd have to ask Josh again. I don't remember. I think we only called 3 actual shots down the field throughout the course of the game. Some others were converted to that because of what we got, defensively. So they were still, they were playing and tight in their coverage. So some of the reads ended up being down the field more than maybe what we actually called. But I think that's got to be a big part of our game, and a lot of that you're going to have to be able to set up with how you run the ball, and then that sets up a vertical passing game. So it goes hand in hand, and I think the more we can do it in practice and then feel comfortable with it, the better we'll be able to execute it on game day.
Barry, I know you respect all your foes, but just your thoughts on playing in an FCS school.
Yeah, I think you look at the opponent this week and you look at their history. I'm going to talk since Coach has been there. I think they've beaten 5 FBS schools, and I may be wrong on that, maybe more than that, but I recall 5 looking at him last night. He's been to the playoffs multiple times. They're ranked in the top 20 of their division. I've got a lot of respect for him, and I've been in some games, no matter what division or conference or location there are, and you end up understanding that they're a really good team, and I think that's what we're facing right now. So our schedule is set as it is. I've said this a couple times throughout the course of me being here. I've got to make sure that I get our team, no matter the opponent. It's got to be nameless, faceless, and let's go play our best ball. And so for us, the opportunity, we understand the opponent. We got great respect for them. How good can we get through the process of preparation to be better week 2 than we were week 1?
You said, I think after the game, you wanted more sideline juice. What are you going to do to accentuate that?
Well, I've got to educate our team on what it's supposed to look like, and I didn't do that week 1. So learn to never assume. And I thought, there were times we started the game, it was on fire and the way it's supposed to be. And they've got to carry that throughout 4 quarters. That's their job. So I'll do a better job educating them this week, and I would anticipate that we have a better look there on the sideline for 60 minutes.
I'm going to channel my inner James Shebist and ask about the punter. He looked like he may have been one of the stars of the game. James McAllister.
If you're actually channeling your James Shebist, you missed a couple of words in there on your descriptive, I think, adjectives. An adjective or an adverb. You use a lot of different ways. He did a great job. I think we had 49.2 yards in his punts. We had 3 downed inside the 12-yard line. Obviously, a big part of the game. You look at average starting field position for us. That's one of our big measurables. And we had almost 10 yards difference in where we started compared to where they started. And that's all 3 sides playing complementary football. But certainly he did a great job on placing the ball where we needed it to play. Hang time and then field location was exceptional.
How do you celebrate win number 1 Saturday?
Well, we had a lot of people in town, which was great. A lot of people that I'd been different places with over the years have lived, and friends and some family. It was pretty low-key and pretty boring, so got on the next opponent pretty quick. They played it, I think, kicked off at 7:30, so got a chance to watch them there, and then hung out with friends and family, and I fell asleep pretty early.
Can you give us any update on Jewel Hall? It didn't sound good Saturday, or Denali Morissette?
Yeah, again,
West-
Jalil will be out for significant time. I can't put a timetable on it yet. Morissette's getting really close to making the next step in his rehab process. Did not practice today. We'll see where he's at tomorrow. Did you ask?
Well, I noticed Winston Bergen got hurt real early too on a kickoff, I think.
Yeah, he did not practice today, and at 3 o'clock we've got a staff meeting, and I'll get an injury report on where we are going into tomorrow's practice.
Josh talked about Michael Jackson's consistency. I was just wondering what you saw from him on Saturday, and what that veteran leadership can do for Ryan Brown in the passing game.
Yeah, it's, anytime as a quarterback, you can have somebody, groups of guys, or maybe one or two as you start here, that you can count on and understand, dependable. That's a great feeling. I think Mike has provided some of that because he does it every single day in practice. He's consistent and he works extremely hard. We're counting on him in the return game. And then offensively, you can see, the more and more how he's going to continue to earn opportunities, just the way he prepares and practices.
Good to ask, do you guys establish any sort of like players of the week, any kind of like, as you go back and grade guys game to game, did you have anybody?
We always, as a team, we watch every special teams clip together, and the entire team's in there. So we give a special teams player of the week award away. We give a look squad player of the week on offense, defense, and kicking. And then we will recognize certain plays, 1 to 2 to 3 on either side, that just extra effort, mental strain, and toughness that doesn't show up in the stat book. So we did that this morning, and good for guys to understand, and get recognized in front of their peers. I think that's always a positive.
Who was a special teams player?
Jaheim Merriweather. His speed down the field on kickoff coverage really helped in a lot of ways. He was good on punt return, and he's making progress.
Do you feel like those sorts of things are important from a coaching perspective, just to make sure you're getting that recognition down the roster? Because that you can go pretty deep.
Well, when you put it on display for everybody to see, and the standard is and the expectations are how we're going to go play, and then you put it in front of the entire team, it's pretty recognizable. The guys that are playing the right way and doing great things, and we're going to celebrate that. And and we're getting close. I mean, eventually it's going to be like the really cool thing to be. It's like the player of the week, and there's a lot of times it won't show up in the stats on who that is. It's going to show up on just playing hard and doing things the Purdue way.
You guys obviously have done a good job finding talent at quarterback through the portal, and there's a lot of examples throughout college football, guys coming in and transfer quarterbacks having success. At the same time, I guess, what are you seeing as a balance between the need to develop your own talent there? Is it more critical at quarterback, and does the revenue share era and how you're trying to spend money there factor into that at all?
Trying to think back to your initial first part of the question. We'll recruit at all positions as aggressive as we can to build a high school recruiting team. I believe in that. The foundation of what that looks like. If you recruit the right in that area, then development-wise, they may not play or start their first year, but year 2 and year 3, then you become starters, and you've got length of time with them in the program. And Purdue's got so many selling points that make it very, very attractive for high school student athletes and prospects. So we're always going to recruit a high school quarterback, would be my guess. And then it kind of depends on the depth of when the season is over, what that looks like. If we need to, if we have attrition and you have to add guys that, I'm not going to sign multiple high school guys. So if you lose an older guy, we're probably going to go get an older guy to replace that, just on the balance of the roster and what it looks like. And rev share, everybody's going to have their opinions on what that is and what it should be by position. Purdue's not going to take a backseat to anybody on how we're going to be aggressive with that, and that's been proven to me. That is not our deciding factor. If a guy's just coming for a check, and believe me, I am a firm believer in rev share. Okay, but if that is the only factor, this is not the place for you. And we may be the highest, the highest check for the guy, but that better not be the top of the priority on what I'm going to get, because you look at the value of the education at Purdue University, you look at the ability to be developed here by, I believe, not talking about myself, talking about our assistant coaches, the ability to be developed by a great group of coaches. You look at what we pour into our student athletes in academic resources and center. You look at strength and conditioning. You look at nutrition. You look at all the different, if you really like football and you like the process of becoming a great player, you won't find a better place to go than here. And then we're going to win at a really, really high level. So there's so many different factors that go into it. Yes, for the quarterback. Yes, for every other position. I really like our formula as we've started here. We're going to continue to be very aggressive as a high school recruiting program, and where we need it by positions and transfers.
I just asked because it would seem like that would be the position that is a very expensive one if you want to try to go outspend somebody as opposed to.
I don't know. I mean, you look at the value of what you think the player is for your team, in my opinion, and then, I think if there's so many narratives and examples of what's a guy really making. I mean, I don't even know how you prove that. I'm not going to throw out examples, but let's look at what so-called some of the highest paid quarterbacks, how they performed this last week. I don't know, but I don't know what fact is on, player X is he's really receiving that. I mean, there's not that information's not shared.
Barry, you practiced under the lights at Ross-Ade a couple weeks ago in preparation for this. Do you make any alterations to going through a week where you're going to play at 7:30 at night versus a noon game?
I mean, we were a little later this morning just because no classes and no academic requirements for our guys, so we let them sleep in a little bit this morning. Allowed our staff a couple more hours of game plan before we had our Monday practice. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be exactly the same normal time. Friday is going to be our normal Friday now, and then Saturday. Luckily, last year we had 6 Friday night games, so we were in the hotel all day, and I feel like we've got a pretty good formula on what needs to happen there on the flow of downtime, activated time for our team. And I think, I believe in it, and I've seen it work, and I know our guys are excited about what our Saturday will look like. And eventually you get to the point in the process, it doesn't matter home or away, night game, early game, playing in Hawaii or playing in West Lafayette. It's all the same, So I know it's a boring answer. We're looking for more, but I believe in the process, and if we can stay true to that and be very consistent, then our players, they understand exactly what the expectations are.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Have a